told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the
So I am Cindy Elese. I am your host for the night. This is just going to be an intimate conversation over dinner. Our amazing chefs are behind me. They'll come out, Chef Kartez and Chef Pleasants. Tonight is just about getting two sides to the story. We're both singles, but getting a male perspective for a single woman and a single woman's perspective for the men. So just enjoy yourself, have fun, don't take it too seriously, be honest, and just know that it's all in good love and fun. Okay?
Yes. Your significant other develops a serious illness and can no longer perform a certain conjugal duties. He or she gives you a free pass. Why did I get this question? Did you pick that card? That card been lying there the whole time.
Let the record reflect. He picked his own question.
That was a rough one. Who was the big one?
He or she gives you a free pass to get sets elsewhere. Would you use it? Why or why not?
Welcome to Dinner Party Conversations,
Yeah.
Singles Edition. So luckily for you, you know, you're in a safe space.
Represent for the brothers now.
Does everybody get one skip card? So it said certain conjugal acts. So that doesn't mean everything, right? She can still perform some things, but just not everything, right?
Let's be honest. The range is quite important. So what she can and can't do.
But that's also more of a problem for a woman with a man than a man with a woman.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm
You said it's more of a problem for a woman. Like the woman is down or the man is down?
A woman not being able to perform is not really a thing, but a man not being able to perform is definitely a thing.
Oh, yes. Your significant other develops a serious illness and can no longer perform certain conjugal duties. He or she gives you a free pass to get sets elsewhere. Would you use it or why or not? I guess to me, right off the bat, I'll say no. If it's a significant other, if I'm with someone that's a serious long-term relationship, now it will be hard as hell.
Keep it up.
I would have a lot of personal time to do some things that I need to do. But this would be hard as hell. But if I am in the idea of long term, we connect, we get married, if it's marriage, this is hard as hell.
That's a great answer.
And she gives me a free pass. Now hold on, that's another point.
Exactly.
That's another good point.
Speaking of hard as hell, I had said that it's a lot different between men and women in this situation because I don't know how. I'm sure there are certain ways. Maybe if the illness renders you unable to do anything physically as a woman, but I feel like this is more significant for a man who can't perform because that's really a deal breaker. But I feel like for a woman that can be a lot different.
Now the old me, like when I was in my 20s, were like, oh hell yeah, I'm going to knock this up. But now I'm trying to be more mature. Yeah. I'm trying to be caring, all that good jazz.
Yeah.
But it does say she gives you a free pass. Yeah. So, but again, I feel like that's not all women. Mm-hmm. Some women would do that, but not really mean it. Yeah. So some women say you can do it, but then you do it and I'll get I'll get backlash.
Yeah.
Or they could mean it until it's done.
Until it's done. Yeah. No, that's a real thing. Because you like, I want them to be happy. I know you need this, but it's like, yo, what you mean? Like, I said it, but you won't really.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to do it.
You weren't supposed to do it.
There could be a situation where the woman picks the other woman for the hall pass. I mean,
She could pick a
Then I ain't gonna do it.
what?
Then I ain't gonna do it.
She could pick a boogaloo.
That's what I'm saying. She gonna pick somebody I can't fall in love with. Like, okay, I see what you did here.
Okay.
I have a thought.
Go ahead. What's your thought?
So, I think it would also depend on like what sex means to you, because if you're gonna get someone to have sex with without getting into any kind of like emotional relationship, what kind of person are you gonna get? And where are you gonna get this person? Right? And then there's a lot of people even now who are not in relationships and are being celibate because so it's almost the same thing as being in the relationship and being celibate. Like I'm saying, like if right now you're a single person who's not already going out to find someone to just hit it, what's the difference kind of thing. I don't know if I'm making sense.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't do that right now, what would you do that? What would be the difference that would make you able to go out and find a random person while you're in there?
Here's a side question before we go over to the ladies again. How important is sex in a relationship?
the quality of it, it's important.
Okay. So quality is important.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's important.
Listen, the air is so thick. How important is sex in a relationship?
It doesn't have to be every day. I don't know, but it's important. It's important. It's not like I won't say it's not good. I definitely think it's important. Now it's not something where you want to share to potential seeds that you may have, kids or something. You need to only do this to progress in a relationship. You want something more wholesome. But it's important.
Like most of my answers to these questions, everything is on a case by case basis.
That's
Just like
how
we
you
have
can bring
that, just like
you don't trust them hips.
just like we have that question about dating someone with kids. Like it's not a preference, but it's a case by case basis. So the same thing, like, do I know, does that person have a personality where I think I can tell them or give them constructive criticism about sex? If that's a yes, I would probably say something. If it's a no, it's a lot harder to do that.
So if it's a no, the person is not their personality type, you're like, I can't tell them that the sex is horrible, but sex is really important to me. Does it then become a deal breaker?
That's one of those case by case. Like,
come on, Kyle.
I hear her dad in the back of my head, like, you give it a politician answer. But like, yeah, I mean,
So the sex isn't great. I can't tell you the sex isn't great, but it's not a deal breaker. So that means there are other factors that play.
Also, it's hard to say it because for a man, it's a lot easier for sex to be great than a woman. Like, I feel like, again, if you switch the genders in this situation.
Hold on, wait. I think Aaron disagrees.
No, I'm swallowing some water.
Okay.
Things are a lot different between men and women in sex.
Yes.
Like, a man,
Agreed.
visually stimulated, very easy to be aroused,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's a lot different for a woman. Like,
It is.
A woman could be just completely horrible in bed, and the guy will still probably be mostly satisfied for the most part.
Okay.
I feel like the opposite is definitely a lot different because it is so much harder for women to enjoy sex overall than a man. So,
Ladies, do you agree or disagree?
I mean, well, I of course never experienced sex as a man, so I can't really speak.
No, okay, but from a woman's
but
Pretty dope.
But I will say this. I mean, I feel like, men can pleasure themselves and women, we can as well. So if you're with someone and they're just like horrible in bed but you still can get to that point, but it can be more enjoyable to get to that point. And then if you're with someone that you can't have a conversation with about your sex life, then it becomes another issue to me.
it does. And if that person that you can't have a conversation with is very, very attractive, it becomes like, ooh, that's a good one for you. Woo!
Y'all picked the question, so it sounds like y'all picking them right.
Everything.
What's a lesson your parents taught you that you know is wrong?
Ooh.
Oh, I like
Wow.
that. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You want to say that?
What can you please restate that question
No,
for the
you
camera?
want you to.
You want to say that?
You don't have to look at it, but please restate it.
What's a lesson your parents taught you that you know is wrong?
No.
First of all, like, I don't know if I might be a bit much on it, but like, I really revere my parents. Like,
You say you really
revere my parents. I love them. I respect them. I'm so grateful for them. I feel so lucky to be their child.
But
That's also
the butt is so thick. You know, I just hear the butt.
So it's tough, but I do feel like I've helped them evolve. They said things when I was younger that were really wrong. And I've helped them change their ways in some of those things.
What's one of those lessons? My mom taught me, but my dad subconsciously and consciously taught me is like a 9 to 5 is the only way. Like, and that's because of the era that he grew up in. You get a 9 to 5, you have a retirement plan, you have a savings account, you have a 401k, you have a family, you have safety, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with safety, but I think safety comes depending on if you're a believer, if you're not a believer. Safety can be measured by a bunch of different things. And so I would say for me, it's like, yes, a 9 to 5 can be great, but it is not the only way, especially now. Yeah, and so even now when I talk to him, he's like, what's your backup plan? You know, and where is the safety net? And you need to go back to job for this, to be like, you need, it's almost, what was taught was, you need a job in order to be successful.
Yeah.
You need a job to have security. And I think that I can respect and understand where that foundation was laid, but not the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, not the only way.
That would be one of mine.
We got a mascarpone tart made with a little bit of bacon cream, so nice fluffy custard, topped with roasted apples and a nice bourbon cinnamon sauce.
Oh my gosh.
So this is Dinner Party Conversations, Richmond, Singles Edition. I'm Kartez. We got
Elese.
And we got
AJ,
Colin,
Aaron,
Tamikia.
Regular Elese.
So we're about to get into these questions, and it's just all about fun and having a good time. All right. So Sydney, I want you to go first.
Okay, so we're gonna break the ice. You want to start with the icebreaker?
You go with the icebreaker.
All right. What is the worst way a guy has ever approached you? The cheesy intros. It's like something that's happening around or in the environment that men will try to use
Let me
to
ask you a
introduce
question.
themselves.
What would have been better? Would it have been better for a guy to say, hey, I like to ride bikes too. My name's Kartez.
Love it.
Can I?
Yes.
Can I get your number? Maybe we can ride bikes together sometime.
Yes.
I'm still shooting you down probably, but I appreciate your approach.
Hey, you got to shoot the shot.
Yeah, that is okay. So one way is more respectable.
Man, let me be frank. I have 0 games, so hello, my name is like how I start every conversation.
I think that's game.
Like, hey, my name's Aaron. What's yours?
Tamikia.
That is respectable game.
That's all I got.
It wins every time.
I'm not as smooth with Kartez to be like, let me ride bikes with you. I ain't gonna do all that.
Or I don't know, restaurant, library. I don't know where on the run track. What do you
Bicycle group.
Bicycle group. What do you say? How you shot? I don't usually shoot my shot, as I discussed earlier. So unfortunately, with all these gender roles, I would take the opposite way, and I would sit there and look pretty. That's when I shoot my shot.
Okay.
But usually, if I'm feeling it, like I say, I have different personalities. So sometimes I can be really introverted and I won't shoot my shot. But there are times where I just might be feeling myself in the moment, and I don't even think about it. It's just I just strike up a conversation with someone. It's not even introducing myself. It just comes naturally. So it's either I'm an all or nothing type of person. So it's either all or nothing. That's it. Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. So for the ladies, do you even know? Do you have a particular type of man that you're attracted to? Do you know if you have a particular type of man attracted to?
I mean, I hate saying it because it sounds so typical and cliche, but of course, someone that's confident. And he just has to have, it's not always about looks, but if he has that certain swag about him,
Okay.
kind of like Jay-Z, he's not an attractive in the face, but I would date him.
You would date him? Okay.
But even outside of his money, if he had that same level of confidence and aura about himself without the money, I would date him.
What about you, Elese?
Funny. Yeah, I think most women would say that, but then what do you think is funny, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Well spoken, clean. Some guys are just, recently I feel like I've met or dated a couple guys that just don't seem very clean. Like the nails are not trimmed, the hair's all on the neck. Like you don't have to be perfect, but a little tidiness.
Little tidiness?
A little tidiness is good.
Okay. This is at first glance. What about you, Sydney?
At first glance, you have to stimulate me mentally. You have to, down to how you approach me is important to me. Because I listen for your intentions. I'm really listening for what you're not saying. That's me. I want to get into the secret places of your mind. So that's what I listen to when you approach me. So you really have to.
That's the first time I've heard that before. Right?
Yeah, they do. They really do exist.
Where's the shovel? Because she's digging in.
What she's not telling you is this is within the first 5 minutes. After you've told me your name, now tell me about your childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
He is right. He is right. So I am attracted to, I guess, someone who's willing to open up. And I know that seems like a lot off the bat, but again, intentions. If you approach me because you want a relationship, I think sometimes we tiptoe our way there. And I'm not saying we can't take it slow, but I want to see how deep are you invested into your desire of me? Can we have a stimulating conversation? Don't give me surface level. So I'm interested in a guy who's willing to go beyond surface level, even on the first date. I'm not saying give me your life story, but give me something to hold on to.
Do you know, based off your history, if the guy that you're attracted to usually is the same guy that you're interested in for a long-term relationship or for marriage?
Oh, I didn't. This right here, this version that I gave y'all was a hell no. Before, I think I knew what I wanted, but back then it was more so how are you feeding my daddy issues? So even though I wanted what I say that I want now, and I can pursue that, and I can look for that and cancel everything else. Before it was more so I knew that I wanted that, but I still had trauma. So I led with my trauma. Okay. And if that's what brought traumatic people to me. Now, because I am healed and I've done work and I know what I want, I don't lead with trauma.
Okay. Okay.
About some other traits, but someone who's ambitious, someone who's thoughtful and considerate, someone who's definitely honest, of course. Those things are important to me. I like the things that.
Can you handle an ambitious man?
Absolutely.
You think you can? Because I'm an ambitious man, and so I am. What that means, I think I hear women sometimes say things like that, but here's what comes along with that. So at the phase I am right now as an ambitious type of man, right now, I have a day job. It's a pretty good day job. It pays pretty well, But I also have other ambitions, and that takes a lot of my time. And the scary thing about that is relationships mean different things to different people, you know what I mean? And so it's like marriage. Marriage sometimes I think means one thing to women, but I think if you really ask a lot of mature, responsible guys, marriage to them probably means a level of responsibility. And most men instinctively know that. So when men think about marriage, we're thinking about the responsibility that comes with that, being able to protect, provide, taking care of your household if you want a family, kids. So anyway, just something to think about when you say you want an ambitious man. Just what level of ambitious man do you want? So for me, travel. Aaron, he travels.
Yeah, I'm
He's a pretty busy guy.
Yeah.
So you get the point. So let me
So like, what would be like maybe like your top 3 if you want to date with a woman that, you know, like you say, what are your top 3 you think, you know, that would be the most important things to you on a date? To find out if you want to go on a second date, third date.
Communication is number 1, right? So I'm not, I don't want to say I'm picky when it comes to communication, but everything we do is communication.
Yeah.
One of my biggest pet peeves, if we've been talking for 15 minutes, and I'm big on asking questions, if we've been talking for 15 minutes and you haven't asked me anything about myself, this is the last time you'll see me. No disrespect.
Right.
You just can't communicate.
Yeah.
Or if you don't know how to articulate what you're feeling and why you're feeling that way, I'm probably not the best person for you. Second thing is a level of ambition. Because we are ambitious men, we need women who are also ambitious, who want to do something. I'm a spoiler. I'm gonna keep it 100%.
Right.
I want to present the world to you on a silver platter. I want whatever you want to buy. I want to be able to wake up and be like, let's go car shopping. All of that. But what that comes with at this point in time, just like you, I got a day job, is like, hey, we got to work together. We got to make sure we're budgeting. I want to invest in real estate, like financial wealth. All of that is really important to me. And lastly, technically, it's the foundation of all 3 of them. You're faith-based. Yeah. Because let me tell you something. I'm coming from a situation where, like, I was online dating a couple weeks ago. Everybody loved Jesus till it's time to do Jesus type stuff.
Okay.
Everybody like, I love Jesus. I'm a Christian. Great. Did you want to pray or did you want to go to church with me? You know, I don't really do that type of thing. Okay, cool. Understood. So those are my important.
You do have to match up. If whatever those values are to you, you do have to match up. If you're in that case, you know, if you have a certain religion, but also you got to make sure that that's really the case. I remember back in the day, I was dating this chick and we went to church, and then after we came from church, and she's like, "All right, come on, let's go." And I was like, "We just went to church." And she's like, "And come on, get in this bed." And I was like,
"Okay, all right."
I ain't gonna lie, I was like, I guess we ain't doing the Jesus thing today. But you know, I agree though. You do have to match up, or it's just gonna be some problems.
Yeah, I understand the question a little bit now better. My first dates are purposely at Starbucks, the ice cream shop, somewhere small, coffee shop, purposely. I'm not going to take you to Ruth Chris first date. Yeah. I'm not going to give you the false impressions. So I purposely want to kind of, I guess, see the value you see. Like, see if you appreciate me for who I am versus see what I can do for you. I'm not going to, I want and I'm going to present myself and not phony. I don't want to come off as having a lot. Yeah, I can brag about what I did, went to this school, that school, got this degree, that degree. But what does that matter for someone that's into you for you? Yeah. I want someone to be with me if I lose my job, if I lose it all, what it gonna be? Because I've been in a situation where I was in DC making all this money and I lost it all. And some of my friends weren't there that were close. Some of the girls weren't there that were close. So I'm not gonna I don't want anyone that's with me because I can take them to Ruth Chris or I can buy them this Birkin bag or this Dooney Bird. I don't want any of that. So if we go out and they can't rock with me from talking about a coffee shop, I'm good.
I'm down with that. That I will say, like, my perspective before we shoot questions is the same. Because I want to, like, don't take me to the movies. Let's go somewhere where we can talk. Because I want to see if we can communicate. But also as a woman, my first date, I don't wear a lot of makeup anyway. I'm not showing up with makeup on. Because you got to be able to accept me if my skin's breaking out, if it ain't clear. You know what I'm saying? There are so many women that wear makeup, and the minute I've been dating, you've been in this relationship for months or years, but the minute he sees her with no makeup on, he's like,
yes.
Shorty, what happened?
That's your chair. That's your chair back up.
I mean, it literally was a story where a man divorced a woman because the child did not come out looking because she had surgery, she wore a bunch of makeup, so he never saw her as her. And I feel like society right now does a lot of let me make it up to make it beautiful. There's a lot of trauma undealt with. So for me, I'm showing up completely raw. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys are swayed by these IG models. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I was like, I don't want that. Because some dudes have had that before. And it's you can't have a conversation with some of these chicks. Like, so how you doing? I remember in Miami one time, my buddy as soon as I got on the plane, he wanted me to come wingman. I think I took like 1,000 photos for this chick.
Wow.
and then spent like $1,000 on a dinner and didn't have one conversation. We just took pictures. Wow. So yeah, I don't want someone like that in my life.
Yeah.
What about you, Kyle? What's you know, I'd say I lead with honesty. That's what I lead with.
I like that.
That's the number one way. I mean, the last time I was in a relationship, I definitely think I was trying to be someone who I wasn't, to force myself to be compatible with someone who I thought was really attractive.
Yeah.
So leading with honesty, I feel like when you're yourself, you can put yourself out there, and if that person doesn't like that, you know you're not wasting your time.
Yeah.
Like being honest, like, you know, there's a lot of people, like we talked about before earlier, people might lie about their height or their age or this and that on, you know, when they meet someone, if it's online or something like that. So, I mean, I don't feel like I need to lie about anything. And being upfront being upfront right off the bat, I feel like will just allow you to know if that person is, you know, able to accommodate your actual true personality, and you can put yourself out there to the point where you're not compromising yourself because you're not trying to be someone you're not. So I think honesty is the best way to lead as far as I'm concerned.
I love it.
That's dope, right?
So I said top three, I'd probably lead with honesty, lead with integrity. You know, you put that out there. And just when you're yourself and you're comfortable in yourself, that's when you can let out the best version of yourself regardless. People think they're putting out their best version of themselves by lying. Yeah. But the best version of yourself is the version that you is yourself, your real honest self. Because you're putting the reality out there. You're not like putting out this fantasy for someone that may or may not like it. Because for all you know, that person might like the honest version of you, the fake person that you're trying to put out. Or I shouldn't call it a fake person, but the representative of yourself you're trying to put out might not be what they like anyway.
If you always tell the truth, you don't never have to fake it.
That's right.
My top three, booty. No, I'm just stop.
Well, that's number 4.
I agree with these guys.
You know what's fascinating? I like that too. Now, like for me, I think I'm in a different stage in my life where I agree. Where it depends on who it is. Like if it's somebody that I might be familiar with already. Like if I don't know somebody, you know, I'm famous for like, hey, I'm going to the farmer's market. You want to meet there? I'm picking up some stuff, or I'm making the Target run. You know, coffee. But if I know somebody, I may try to invite them to do something a little bit more fun. That like yo, I'm doing a dance class. You know, you said a lot. You can dance with somebody, or you know, something I like to do and see how well we interact. But more importantly, I couldn't have said it better than Kyle about just leading with honesty and who you are. That's pretty dope right there.
That's not to say you're not trying to impress someone. Yeah. But you generally like dancing. You're not someone who's like, oh, you know, I think girls like dancing, so let me go take her on a first date dancing. And that's not something you do. Like you can I'm not saying on a date you don't try and impress somebody, but lead it with honesty. Like there's some people who like to bite off more than they can chew on something that just like they think is gonna impress somebody, and it's not the way to go.
I want to put the expectations low and then bring them up.
You know what I mean? You want to build, man.
What would then be a deal breaker in a person of interest for you? I'll toss it on the ladies first.
I mean, those are typical.
And that's typical, but that's a deal breaker.
Typical. Anything else besides that's the obvious one? The obvious.
Someone that I'm interested in and a deal breaker.
That's a good one.
I mean,
obviously a lot. There should be a deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't think of anything. I mean, as we discussed earlier, maybe if you know the sex was just like horrible, you know.
Deal breakers. We know that Tamika is in quality of sex.
How you like
I'm thinking. I feel like all these questions are just like I'm trying to pinpoint to like a point in time in my life. Yeah. Everything's so different at my age. I feel like there's like
so what's a deal breaker now?
Yeah, that's the thing. Things have changed so much that I wouldn't. So
besides dirty them with no lineups.
Right. Yeah. You know, guys don't keep
it deal breaker.
clean, presentable,
mean. Somebody who's mean. Somebody who would like. I've fortunately never been in a relationship where anybody like cursed at me or like. I haven't.
Who cursed at Elese?
People do it all the time. They do it, not to me, but I mean, like you see relationships all the time where like you don't know how to express your anger in a way that like once you cross the line, I feel like I'm too sensitive. I would probably just like melt or something. I think as I've gotten older, I like have a few things that I didn't when I was in my 20s. So if like someone had a lot of debt, and I was like that. I've never cared about someone like having money. I'm a teacher, and most of the people, like the person I was going to marry was also a teacher who'd been teaching less time than me, so made less money than me. That was totally fine. But like also, you know, if you had, I think when you get older and you start to have stuff, yeah, like when you get married, like you're going to be tied together, and that could be a problem.
Money's a huge issue when it comes to long-term
I never
relationships.
ever thought about that kind of stuff before. I feel like maybe in the last year or two where I was like, oh, you know, some people, now that we've lived more, you've had a chance to accumulate more, but you've also had a chance to have some mistakes that could like pile up a little bit too in the other way.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be a deal breaker, but I feel like that there's just more that you have to think about as you get a little bit older.
I mean, I think preferences and things like that, that's okay. But it's good to know. It's good to know the things that you don't want just as much as the things you do want. So.
One thing I've heard from women, just because I like to have good conversations during the online dating phase I was in, they said lack of accountability, and I didn't really understand where they were coming from with that. Could you guys like break that down? So what does it mean for like a person to, like a man, to not be accountable, if that makes sense, or if that's actually an issue, or whether it was just her issue?
I think just basically not owning your shit, to put it in, you know, just like if you do something, because let me tell you, I've had this conversation a lot with my son, like being accountable. So if you were supposed to wash the dishes and you did not, don't come to me with a bunch of excuses. Just own it. Just say, Mom, I'm sorry, I didn't wash the dishes because of XYZ. You know, it won't happen again. To me, that's taking accountability. Not trying to defend your, you know, you're wrong. Yeah. Just own it.
I have a problem with anybody. Like if I'm talking to someone and if they end up talking about a past relationship and everything was the problem with somebody else, then I it's a flag to me, because I'm not seeing that you're doing a self-examination about, you know, because you're the common denominator.
So that's a deal breaker for you.
Well, you know, that's definitely a red flag for me. Like I look at me and I'm like, well, what did I do wrong? Because, you know, I'm the only one, the common denominator in all my relationships, because that's the only way I can improve going forward is looking at what I did. I have no control about whatever someone else did. How can I improve just in general going forward? But if I hear somebody, well, they did this, they did that, that tells me, if I don't, not that somebody else didn't do something wrong, but if I don't hear, you know what, here's where I could have did something better, or even to the point where, you know, I could choose better. You know, then it's a red flag to me, because I'm not hearing something where you learn how to improve, whether how to choose better and how you're going to personally improve. That's a red flag to me for when it comes to accountability.
That's a really good one, because actually that makes me definitely think when people talk about like they have horrible relationships with all their exes and they hated all their exes and they have like these exes that did these crazy things to them.
They chose them.
Exactly. Like I can't say anybody that has been like a terrible person did all these crazy things, because then it's like, well, how did that?
That's dry syndrome.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, but people do. People all the time.
Definitely number one is narcissism. If someone can't keep their narcissism in check, I mean, come on. Like if you're in a conversation with somebody and you say something and that's just a segue for them to talk about themselves, everything you say, they completely ignore it. And it's just a way to talk about themselves. That's a big one.
What'd you say?
Goes back to what you said about being in a conversation, someone not asking you any questions.
Yeah, that's narcissism.
You're right. Yeah, so, definitely.
Narcissism is a big one. I would say excessive vanity. There's one thing to be vain. Like I get it. Like everyone likes to look good. People who are excessively vain. Someone who can't keep their superficiality in check, like you said, when you know wingman for those girls, and they want to do nothing but live and, you know, taking pictures and there's no depth to them. Like those are huge deal breakers for me. I mean, besides that's aside from like easy ones, like if you smoke cigarettes, like probably not gonna, you know, stuff like that. But yeah.
Cigarettes would be a deal breaker for me.
As Elese called.
Just smoke real quick.
I'm messing
But you what about you? Any deal breakers?
Mine are pretty straightforward. Just those things. I've deepened myself. I used to be mad shallow, but yeah, recently I've been a little more intentional about what it is I am looking for in someone. So yeah, lack of ambition, inability to communicate. Let me see, anything else? No, that's real. I'm a pretty simple guy.
Okay. Sydney, what about
Deal
you?
breakers. For me, the very first one is you don't have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
I think for me, that is just like the very foundation. So I'm not saying you have to be religious. I said relationship, and that's exactly what I mean. So you may or may not have a home church right now, but you have a relationship and understanding and foundation with Christ. That for
So specifically someone who's like Christian. Then.
Christian for you.
For me, Christian, yeah. I can't date you if you're Muslim or we don't have the same foundation.
I think that's good. I think that's interesting because, there are solid statistics right now that so many, it's cliche, but it is actually true that, so many relationships end up in divorce. And so I would say even with what you're talking about, you'd have to even dig even deeper. Because there are so many people out there, like if they're religious, I've met people that are spiritual that seem more grounded than people that say they're religious, whether it's Christian or Muslim. Because I've seen people that are Christian that they're getting divorced too.
And see, that's why I specifically intentionally used relationship. Okay. Yeah, because there is such thing as the Christian who does religion, right? And that is, I'm trying to keep all the rules and regulations. It's supposed to go to church. It's supposed to, yes, but do you have a relationship? You can go to church every single Sunday, serve on every board, but still not know Christ for yourself. Does that make sense? So for me, I don't need you to be religious. That's not what I'm asking you to be. I'm asking you to have a relationship. When all the shit falls down and the chips crumble, what happens? Do you crumble or do you go to faith? Like, what is your response?
Right. Okay. So that's good. So that's your deal breaker. AJ, you say something? What you say? What's your deal breaker?
As I got older,
I'm out.
As I got older and I got into fitness, and I lost. I showed Aaron. I was like 300 pounds, but as I lost weight, and I used to date chicks that looked thicker. That's what? Thank you, Kyle. I used to date women that was thicker. So now I want, if I find out that, I say a lady wants to have weight loss surgery, I want someone to be that, well, to me, if you have a fitness mindset, you're going to be stable in a way. Now, it doesn't cover all, but to me, someone that's going to care about their body and push you to care about your body, they're gonna have a mindset to be stability. But someone that wants to take the easy route out to lose weight. So if I find out, like, now I'm not saying you have to be a fitness guru or always worry about it, but I think a deal breaker for me is someone that doesn't really care about their body.
Right. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Because that translates to other things. Because say we have kids, you're going to share that to the kids. You want to have them eat healthy. Because I came up in an environment where I ate terrible. As I gained weight. So I want someone, I can't think of the right verbiage, but they're accountable to their body.
Well, let me ask you a question. So you're at the phase where you like to get with somebody who you would want to marry.
Yeah.
And you would have to have and then have kids with. Yeah. And so more than likely in general, whoever's gonna be the mother of your kids, it's important that their mindset is right because that's gonna have a major influence of your kids' mindset.
Because I've been with, and I will never knock any ex. Like I haven't had any tumultuous breakups and fights, and if it happens, I call. I say, look, come get your daughter. I'm not hitting nobody. I walk away. But a lot of that, because I lost my train of thought because I'm so passionate about it. But
the mindset that you want the mother of your children to have is where he was going.
I think it's different now. I want them to be able to translate to my kids or our kids.
Somebody who's gonna help you foundationally, what you're saying. Somebody who's gonna help you build your legacy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want to keep going.
What is one thing that you've given away too soon in previous relationships that your next partner will have to work for or wait on? However you want to think about it.
How about you?
I'll go. Cliche. safety and sex.
Mm-hmm.
Sex, because I thought that I had to lead with. Remember, I talked about leading with like daddy issues, wanting to be wanted. Leave my body as if it was like the only thing I had. Even though I knew I had more, it was the only thing I felt was most valuable at the time. So I led with that because I was trying to fill this void of like wanting to be wanted or wanting to be needed. But I also know that I'm the type of person who creates safety for people. It's an open space for you to be vulnerable. Like I genuinely care about people, but not everyone deserves that on that level. Like you have to be willing to know the type of place you're at with a person, and if they deserve that level of intimacy with you, because creating a safe space and being vulnerable for them to be vulnerable, it's like a part of feeling safe. Like it's a safe space, but not everybody, that's a level of intimacy for me. Not everybody deserves that level of access, because some people will see it and pull everything you have from that. I know that she's going to give me this, so I'm going to rip her from that. And by the end of it, your well is dry, you have nothing. So for me, I think I've given safety too soon, been dry in my body. So sex and safety for me have been the two things that I've given too soon.
That's a lesson learned for you, like.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, I'm so sorry, but we're not having sex before marriage. And I know Kyle, we already talked about it.
I have a question.
And that's without the biblical.
Kyle,
yeah, let's go.
So, this isn't to say that I think people should go off willy-nilly and just be having sex with everyone.
Yeah.
I don't, that's not how I feel. But you were saying that your body, your physicality is a more important thing versus your emotional self, your emotional sense and the other things that you give to someone in a partner. But you don't think that those could be on equal playing fields, or if not, the emotional would be more important sometimes than the physical? Because I mean, everyone has physical urges.
Yeah.
But for you to like to give up your, to be yourself, like you give up your emotions to somebody in a relationship, like I mean, this is just my perspective on it. Like I feel like that can be just as important, if not more important, than some things that are physical. Like I sometimes think it can be problematic that women think their body or the physicality is the most important part about them. And I think that in some ways can be problematic because their sense, like themselves, like their personality, like their trust, like their loyalty, I sometimes feel like that is more important than their body. This isn't to say that you should be like giving it away to everyone. Yeah, but I agree with you. I feel like sometimes people put so much on the flesh and the physical, but that's, I don't consider that to be the most important thing in a woman or in a relationship. I'm not saying it's the most important. Like I need to get to know you mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Like sex is the last thing for me, because for me, sex is very important. I think I don't want to get all the way into it, but for me, it's very simple. I'm a living sacrifice for God, right? Like my body is a temple for God. So I'm giving you I don't want to say the best, like how do I phrase this? When we have sex, we become one. I don't want to become one with someone that I'm literally not one with. I'm not married to you. The Bible's, without going biblical, between a man and a woman, right? I'm supposed to be married to you. So why am I going to be out here willy-nilly? I've done it. I'm not condemning anybody. People do it, whatever. But I've done that. And so I realized because my foundation is Christ, I'm no longer going to attach myself to you in a manner where is this going? Why are we doing this? So now I've given you mental, emotional, and physical. What is left?
I think my primary concern with the paradigm around that is that we separate the two. So it's like, I can just give myself to you physically. And especially as guys, the paradigm we've grown up with is you can throw your thing in anything, it's all good. But it bounces both ways. It bounces both ways. When we present ourselves to women in the same state, sex is an incredibly emotional act.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all.
No, seriously. You literally become
you're
it's a tie.
in it. It's a tie. The entire world around you disappears for however long you're in that space. So you're absolutely correct. The giving of the body isn't necessarily the space, but I don't know too many women that give their body and aren't emotionally attached.
Exactly.
And even if you think you're not emotionally attached, you are attached.
You are.
Yeah.
And so you become jaded. Like you become, red flags will go off and you're like, this is good. Like I just had a conversation with someone. Red flag. It's three of us in the salon talk like men do. Three of us in the salon.
We don't do that. What? We be talking about sports and financial wealth and loving our wives.
All right. Anyway, we having a conversation. Whatever. I'm just saying, red flags can be going off left and right, but the first comment is, but the dick is good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or the vagina, like whatever y'all say, it's good, but the sex is good.
I told you we don't do that.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, and it's just like, wow.
And sometimes
it's a blinder.
women don't even realize that's what's clouding their judgment.
Yeah.
You know,
because you're so emotionally invested. It's like sex is a very big deal.
But again, I think it starts off with defining what you want.
Yeah.
Now, and understanding the consequences of not understanding what you want, because like my man Aaron has said, whether you understand it or not, when sex gets involved, you know, men, you know, we generally have a more outer visible desire for sex. Women do too, but it's generally is not as visible as men, you know. But that testosterone ain't no joke, you know what I'm saying? And you know, spiritual or, you know, energies are you're exchanging information, DNA, you know, but you're getting connected and there's something that's taking place. And you are kind of you're joining together and that's and if you're not sure if you really want to be with that person, it does make it more difficult to break apart if it's not a really good fit.
Because I know for women, it's like after I've given you my body and then I start to see the red flags, it's like, dang. For me, I have felt in past relationships that after I've given a man my body, knowing that I shouldn't, things will happen and I'm like, shoot, like I just gave you the most. So now I feel completely robbed. I have nothing. Like it's just like I literally gave you. I've given you mental. Yes, we've had that, but it's just like I literally gave you.
But also, hold on.
You know
Let me say something too. Now, for a woman, this is what I've been heard or told. So
is that have y'all felt like that? Okay.
Depending on what type of sex it is. If it's good sex, that may change some things too. That's why you gotta be careful. I don't know what you're saying.
What'd you say?
Because that's what I was mentioning before. It's like the whipped cream. So it's like if somebody gave you a glass full of whipped cream and you thought it was ice cream and you dig in, you're like, wait a minute. And so one of the experiments that I've tried over my lifetime is like you abstain from sex. And what happens is you realize, really or not, whether or not you like this person.
Exactly.
Because if I like you and I can't touch you, then I really like, because here's the thing, if it's a long-term relationship, when you're 70 and 80, you can't really, I'm not going to, right? But in the event that you cannot do those things, when you get to that point, that person's personality and who they are is going to sustain your relationship.
Kyle,
but my man got a different point of view, and I want to hear it.
What you got to say, Kyle? The whole idea that if you were to have sex with someone, like, you know, you want the relationship to be based on something, not just, you know, going after sex or whatever. Like, you don't think sometimes in a relationship when a man is wanting that, he's willing to do or say anything to get that. He puts himself in a position. So that it can be, I'm not saying this is the way it's supposed to be, but it can get treacherous. Because I've seen people in relationships where there is abstinence in the relationship and they will basically try and manipulate the situation to get to that goal. Sometimes it's not even something they do maliciously, but as a man with that testosterone, you want something. So sometimes you're willing to put something on it or act a certain way to eventually get to that goal. That goal itself was like, I feel like some people put so much importance on sex that it can cloud things. Where like you said it's the most important thing. I was like, I don't know if I would agree with that because
no, sex is not I'm saying sex is important. Sex is not the most important thing.
You said most and then cut yourself off the second time.
Is not we were talking about sex being important earlier, and sex is important in the confines of marriage. It is not the most important thing to me. Like I'm not going to lead with that. I believe that sex is meant for the confines of marriage.
But you also are basically implying that giving up your sense of self in a relationship was secondary to giving up your body. The body was more significant than yourself.
Gotcha. And so what I was trying to chime in with is both of the two are the same. So the body and the self are one and the same. So when you present someone with your body, because here's the thing, in what you were talking about there, what you're touching on is a lack of self-accountability as a man. Because if I'm willing to tell you and do things and manipulate so that I can get to that point because my urges are pushing out what my spiritual or family or whatever my background situation is, that means I'm not holding myself accountable to the fact that long-term relationship or long-term connection is more important than that 15, 20 minute.
You let your body dominate.
Correct.
Exactly.
You know, I heard,
which is easy.
I heard Rebecca Lynn Pope. She's an online personality, but she's a older woman, and she got a testosterone shot. Yeah, because she said her sex drive. She went to adopt, sex drive was probably low, so she got some kind of booster. And she said for the first time in her life, she said, "Is this what men go through?"
Mm-hmm.
She said her husband just moved a certain way, and she was all upon him, and she was like, "Wow." So, but I do think it's important to understand that, like, if you're not having sex with somebody, that's when you really know if you actually even like them or not. You know what I'm saying?
You go from what
I mean? But you got,
it's a double-edged sword because when you're not having sex with someone, it gets so built up that you want that so bad. Like, you sometimes get caught up in in that person when all you're looking for is that physical.
You gotta understand if that's the case though, because that can happen.
Maybe that's true for men. I feel like that's not true for women. Like,
it's definitely
we're not like that until like after we have. Once you have, then anytime we're around you, be good.
And I think foundation matters,
but not if you haven't already.
I think foundation matters. This is just me being. I think that it depends on a person's foundation in terms of what they value. So I'm gonna just say it, and I'm not picking on you, Kyle, because I don't know, but like a person I feel like whose foundation, let's just say, is not biblical, right? Mm-hmm. They don't understand the terms of submitting their flesh, right? Or not allowing their flesh to rule. Like, they don't understand the term of being accountable. And that's not all people, because some people don't have a strong faith background, but they do. They can control their urges. Versus the person who does, they're like, all right, I know that I'm having these urges, but who I hold myself accountable to is different than the other person who doesn't. Does that make sense? So I think a person's foundation matters. But I do agree with Elese in what she said. I think it's different for men and women when it comes to urges. Like, because after I have sex with you, now I want to jump your bones every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not
it's too much, man. Give me a break.
Yeah. It's after I get the D.
It seems to me, I've talked to women who were Christian, not Christian, spiritual, but it seems to me, from my experience, a woman that's very interested usually doesn't hide her interest, and so when it comes to sex, and whatnot, they're generally just not trying to like a woman who may not be as interested in me in the past. She may want me to jump through all kind of hoops, almost to prove certain things. And then a woman who was interested in me didn't make me jump through so much hoops, but showed me more interest, and then I don't know, just seemed like she was. Things flowed better, but a woman who wasn't interested, she was like, oh, you gotta take me on a date. I remember I went on a date with this one woman. Second, I tried a great date, and I went in for a kiss, and she's like, on the cheek. I was like, oh my, wow, it's like, but I don't think she's interested.
That's why I tell my brothers, and for the younger guys that I'm around, take that, because we talked about how women, they kind of sort of lead with sex, and they understand for the most part they have that level of power in the situation. Immediately pull it back. So one of the first things I was doing was like, hey, listen, check this out. We're just getting to know each other. Ain't no hanky panky happening. So you immediately pull that off the table.
Take it off. Take the box.
So whatever. You say it.
Huh? You say it. I don't even say that. I just take them on date.
No, it's better to say.
Don't give any indication.
I want to.
But that can lead to that for a woman. That can lead to he's not interested. Versus if you tell me, there's two different ways to do it.
Communication, though. He's interested.
No, if he takes me out.
Communicate
though. No, but he's saying. Oh, I'm sorry, because it's long.
No, I would say, but that way, to me, again, I agree with it, but in that way, it shows me that he's been thinking of it. Like, it's on his mind that he want to have sex. My way is like, I ain't even thinking about it.
That's why we're here on this day.
But it's natural. I like you.
Did you think I approached it because you're... I love the way she reads.
No. You're fine, and I really want to jump your bones, but I'm not.
No, in the back of my head, it's there, but I don't want to put it out there. She's like, oh, he thinking about it already. Like, that's all he want. That's all he gonna think about initially. He gonna hit it and leave. Boom, boom, boom.
Man, this is advocate.
I don't know.
No, I like this way too. I never thought about
it because when you remove that, now the other person has to be 100% genuine, and now there's no relief. Because one of the things is men, because there is that. I keep going back to this word, this paradigm that when we go to a date, people hate me when I say it. There's no 50-50. We control. We take care of the whole thing. So where I take you, how we do things,
No, that's different in Virginia, because-
with the perspective
That's
of
how
society
I
is that
used
as
to-
a man, my goal is to chase the prize and entertain you into wanting to be with me.
But I also don't
When I take that off the table and I'm like, do we match up? Our
Yeah.
goals are to attract each other.
Yeah.
Now you have a whole different situation. Because if you can't communicate, you're not ambitious, and you only look like this because you got makeup on, now we understand we're not the right people for you.
So I think Aaron, I think the reason I agree with Aaron is because in the very beginning, one of the questions we talked about my desire to like want to go deep with a person, not like super deep, but I want to know what's going on. That literally helps me see where a person is. So that's a way of seeing like beneath your surface without being like going like super like what are your traumas? You know what I'm saying? I get to see where you are, what you are, because I don't need the fluff. We don't just we are 30 some years old. What is it?
Now one thing I do want to point out to Kyle's point here.
I like to build upon stuff. I don't want to hit you like I hit you first. Get you, boom, drop y'all, boom, boom, bam, bam, I'm out. Like I hit you, I figure out, like I said, I get the body immediately. I get the body quicker that way rather than I'm trying to build upon you. Yeah, I'm not in the back of my head, I smack, boom, boom, get it down, hit you from the back, boom. But I don't to me, this is my opinion. Like again, this is coming from a guy that met chicks and slept on the first night, and then you feel terrible after it. They call you like, I haven't heard from you. I'm like, oh shit. Wow. Like, so I don't want to lead that way anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I like to build upon things. Like, I want to build something together. So if I have to start slow like that, that's fine. It's gonna get there.
Now to the other side of it too, and one thing I do want to keep in mind is like having sex early within whatever relationship doesn't necessarily devalue it, depending on how you guys decide to move.
Define early.
However early, because
I think it's situational.
Listen, it's consensual. It's like I've had situations where young ladies, they're interested, and it's like, hey, we just met like an hour or two ago, but I feel a connection with you. We can get to it. It doesn't devalue the relationship if you know where you want to take it, and if you are both under the same impression that this is either one time or we are looking to build from it. But the other side of it comes where there is no communication in terms of intention with it. And what comes through it is just pure lust, and we lust, and then in the morning you got that wake up moment.
But it boils down to communication.
Do you lose a sense of respect for a woman that has sex with you within like days or a week or something?
Or hours?
What? Do you lose any respect for that woman?
I'm gonna let answer
because
that question.
I think as women that's a concern.
Yeah, and a double standard. Because men can have sex with you the first night, but if a woman does it, she's a hoe.
103,000. That just shows what women want on the way.
If a man has sex with a woman, he's a hoe too.
Yeah, we host.
But society doesn't say that.
But I think that's changing a lot nowadays.
Okay.
But
So to answer
we live here where you have the term
very
fuckboy. Like it's out there now that men do that, and they're hoes, male hoes, fuckboys, whatever. Like it's there now. Like they're not. It's no longer a time where like I'm sure like guys with each other can sit there and be like, oh yeah, I hit that shit on the first night, blah blah blah. But like the majority of society or like women would see that like, oh, he's a fuckboy. He did that. But my whole thing is, I have a hypothetical here. This isn't. Imagine two long-term relationships.
No,
thank you.
So you have two long-term relationships. This isn't going to be not having sex before marriage, but so you have two relationships. They've been going on for say like 6 months. It's clearly established that you and this person have an emotional connection with each other. So the relationship where you're attracted to each other, you continuously wait to go in the physical or go all the way in the physical. Is that relationship like once you eventually do that, when there's some like I guess extended commitment or marriage commitment, like there's still the possibility that man after he finally has the body is just like, what was I thinking? Like that was clouding my judgment. Like the lust was clouding my judgment. So in a situation where those two people who are in a committed relationship with each other, they're exclusive with each other, they've been dating for 6 months, they do have sex. The idea that once that elephant is out of the room, they have done that. The man who wants to stick around, he's had your body. He still wants to stick around, and like that brings you closer together, and you keep on building upon that. I see that sometimes as, in my opinion, is a more functional relationship because you are not letting lust and you're not letting the flesh dictate everything in your
I
relationship.
mean, truth be told, the man that wants to stick around anyway.
Because there's a man who could be in a completely committed relationship with you and waited for however long you wanted, and as soon as that happened, it was just like it was done. That conquest is done, and he's feeling some different type of way.
Yeah.
When you get that before you even go to that next level, sometimes when you have that physicality, you know you're physically compatible, and you know that once he did that and you guys did that. It makes you even more attracted to each other. And he wants to stick around. It wasn't just, I finally got it, I'm gone. And sometimes putting that emphasis on the physical so much can throw a wrench in a relationship. That's just my
opinion. And that's honestly, that is the purpose of sex within, obviously, whatever. My question is, and this is going back to a biblical worldview of it, if you're at that point, you're committed, you're dating, whatever the situation is, why not just get married?
So
because if there's a gap between where we are in marriage, then that means there's other things in between here that we need to work on. Because marriage is not a time frame; it's a relationship status. So if we're at the point where like, okay, we can do this thing physically, and we understand we were waiting for marriage, just get married. As a matter of fact, it's part of the Bible. It's like, listen, you want to pipe? Go get married.
Yeah.
It's literally that simple. If you want to pipe her down, just go get married, and then go have as much sex as you want. But if you're not at the point where you want to marry the person, that means there's something in between there that you're still unsure about.
I don't know. I think sometimes
one of the Migos song, like.
Sometimes I think of basing a marriage on getting together and making that commitment based on the fact that you guys want to get physical can be problematic. Like, I think it's problematic personally. So, biblical nature will make people think that human beings are special or are God's children. But if I'm looking at all the animal kingdom, it seems like the meaning of life is to survive and reproduce. So that human beings have that genetic, ingrained urge. The same way a spider just is born knowing how to weave a web, human beings are evolved to want to reproduce. So when you put a lot on that, like it's the whole idea of monogamy or waiting until certain things or certain times in withholding your urges to reproduce or have sex, because having sex is just like the act of reproducing. When you put a hold on that, that's something that I don't necessarily think is in natural animal nature. That's something that we do as human beings. So we can contemplate our existence and we put emphasis on that physical. I feel like when you do that, when you make it that significant, like you're putting so much on something that you're ingrained to do. So like, I don't know, I think human beings are more than that reproduction. And I feel like being human and contemplating your own existence means that you can go beyond that. Like, this isn't to say that people should have sex willy-nilly and do it all the time. But sometimes putting so much on that act, basing a marriage on that act, like saying like that's, I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but I'm saying like that can be very treacherous when you're doing that. And there is a reason why 50% of marriages end in divorce. And for each subsequent marriage, that percentage goes even higher. So marriage itself, in the modern era, isn't, I'm not saying it's not significant. It's significant to me, but clearly it's not as significant as people think it is. So basing marriage on that idea of the physicality of something that human beings are hardwired to want and to do is putting a lot on that physicality.
Well, the interesting when we talk about marriage, besides spiritual, because here's what happens. Let me tell you something. Unfortunately, what I know too well. Marriage is a contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's a contract, and it's a contract that is so easy to get into, very difficult to get out of, and sometimes it can be harsh on getting out of. But I've seen it whether you claim whether you are Christian or claim you're Christian or whether you are not or spiritual, whatever. Sometimes the same people that got married act completely different and they get divorced. And they take it. People don't take those that what it is as a commitment as serious as it is. Like what I'm hearing, what you're talking about. You're talking about it from this is a commitment. You're looking at it from a biblical, spiritual basis. And so the thing you're going to be doing is making sure that you got somebody who has the core beliefs as you do, really core beliefs, and basing it off that. So, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people see it, you don't, they don't see it as a commitment, and to me, we're backing out of it. And so like Kyle, even whether I don't know if Kyle is religious or not religious, but even him, I think something like to me, you're taking it more serious than some people.
I definitely think I take it more serious.
I think you're taking it more serious than some people who are religious take it serious.
The most functional relationship I've ever had in my life, we did not wait till marriage, but I waited 2 years to have sex with a person in our relationship.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, don't think I take this willy-nilly, being like, oh, I have to have sex with someone and go, no. But did that mean like we were going to enter into a marriage before we did that? I think that'd be giving sex too much power.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to get into that relationship or base that commitment on us wanting to have that physicality. But
well, here's the problem.
So I just want to be clear. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that I get like married once. I'm not saying that sex has that much power. Sex is a benefit of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying that, okay, I'm getting married to have sex.
No, I know.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't.
Okay,
but I do hear you, and I actually, when you say it that way, I do hear you. I do think that there are people who give sex too much power, and they're like, all right, well, let me go ahead and just get married to have sex.
Yeah.
I do agree with you.
Like in the world of people who might be religious and might be advocating abstinence for people. Mm-hmm. Like at some point, like when are you putting so much on a young girl's physicality versus herself? Like they treat it as like, oh, you're going to give up your body to this person. Like, what about as a young woman giving up herself, her soul, her emotional being? Like, I don't like when people put so much emphasis on that, on sex.
I can see that.
Like, and I think like I will say something that's a fucking spicy ass take. A lot of stuff in the Bible is very fucking misogynistic. Very. It was a time where women didn't have shit. Women were property. Let's be real. Women were property in biblical days. Women were property 100 years ago. So, in some ways, women are still property in our society. So, the idea of like making a woman's importance to her body only, I think does a disservice to women sometimes, like personally. Because like, I'm more interested, yes, I'm interested in physicality, but I'm also more interested in that woman's, her personality, her being, her soul, her emotions, like, period.
Yeah.
So, just because I might not share the same religiosity as someone else exactly does not mean, like, don't get it twisted, that does not mean that they don't think that's significant. Mm-hmm. Like, because the body and the soul are both still important.
Yeah. What is one thing that you wish women understood about men? And then for ladies, it's going to be, what is one thing you wish that men understood about ladies?
Who want to go first?
I'm looking at these two strong brothers.
There's not a whole bunch different between genders. So it's I'm a person, you're a person, is what it calls.
Yeah. I guess it's that, like, with all the rigid gender roles that we have in our society that, I mean, it's becoming more prevalent that men are human beings too, that are fragile.
Yeah.
Older generations before us had a lot of toxic men who taught their sons and grandsons to be these hardened, non-emotional people, and they bottle that stuff in, and it's toxic. It really is. Like, some people take offense to the term toxic masculinity, but like a lot of aspects of masculinity in the past generations are very toxic, in my opinion. So I guess it's to understand that men are fragile, and you have a lot of men out there who, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the term cosplay. Like, there's a lot of men out there who are cosplaying as tough guys, and they're not. So just understand that sometimes when a guy acts a certain way, like, he may be fronting, and like, man, I have no problem being vulnerable. I think that's personally a strength. I think showing that I have weaknesses or showing that I have vulnerabilities is my strength, because I'm upfront about it and I'm secure in it. Like, I don't mind. I'm totally cool with it. So I guess for women to understand that, like, let your man feel okay to be vulnerable, because that vulnerability is strength. A guy who said like, oh no, I don't feel any emotions, I'm tough, that's the weakest motherfucker you would ever meet.
I'd be like, that's a red flag for me. No.
I follow Cal. He's right though. Yeah. I think as men, and I follow and agree, but I think as men we have the mindset that we are believed to be strong and things of that nature. So when we do come to our significant other, they may hear us, but they don't really hear us. They end up talking to their problems. They don't really care about what we feel like they don't care about. So, like how, again, follow him, that we would want women to understand that, hey, we do need to be heard, and with intent. Don't just push us off and share your problems, which when we hear all the time, we're going to be there for you, but we care. We have a heart too.
My slide and piggyback, just because I saw this on Instagram the other day, and it's another thing that's been going around, the idea that the way men are loved is through respect and the way women are loved is through love is malarkey. They just said we're people too. So everything that makes you feel loved makes us feel loved. And all of those things are spectrums. What makes you feel loved is not what's going to make her feel loved, and what makes me feel respected is not going to make him feel respected. So it's a spectrum, and love is love. Respect me because I'm supposed to respect you too. Because if I love you, I respect you.
I agree. If you do love somebody, you gotta respect them.
Yeah. Aaron's on that boomer energy. I feel hanky panky malarkey.
Boomer energy.
Joe Biden's sitting with us.
I don't know who's going to watch this video. I want them to be like,
But
that man over there cursing. He be standing up in church talking and he cursing on YouTube. Like,
in general, though, I don't think a woman does love a man that she doesn't respect.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I think I heard somebody talking about a guy. He was complaining about his. Oh, I'm about to use a third person term. Okay, so all right, the problem. I think like you need to understand who you're getting with, you know. And I think as far as we're talking about long term relationships and more than likely marriage. So you know, I think you know most women in general, like okay, so Tamika, we didn't use your name too often. Let me leave your name. So we go on a date, right? Would you feel better if I said, "Hey, Tamika, I would love to go on a date with you. Hey, you probably need to dress, you know, casual but nice, like some jeans and some nice heels. But it's okay if I'm gonna surprise you. We're gonna go to dinner afterwards, and I take care of everything. Or if I just say, "Hey, where do you want to go?"
I prefer the first.
You prefer the first one if I lead you. So my point is that generally, most men prefer a man who's gonna take care of those things and take some of those things off shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Like they say,
Most women.
I'm sorry, most women are gonna prefer a guy who takes those off your shoulders. You know, like you know, we have the shoulders so we can carry it for us, and you know, you got the hips to carry other things. So, but the point is though, most likely make sure that you get with the man that can lead in that way. And that also comes with a certain level of respect. Now, a man that loves his woman is going to respect his woman and take care of it, vice versa. So it's the same way, but I think it's in different forms, but I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you get the point. You know what I mean? It's still leading. You know, it's like if I said, hey, you know, we get married, like, hey, you know, I really think we should buy this rental house over here. This rental property, I think it's going to go up. It's going to be a good property for us in value. Now, honestly, if you're like, you're not sure, and if I take the time to explain to you why, look at the trends, I don't think you should get with a man that you don't think that's going to lead you in that direction. But you know, because that's going to cause some problems. But my point is making sure if you're looking for a long-term relationship, making sure you're getting with a partner that you respect enough that's going to lead you guys in the right direction. But if you don't think he's going to lead you in the right direction, you're probably not with the right person.
Right, I totally agree with that. The only thing I would say is if you're presenting that to me, I would like for you to say, I think. How do you feel about that? What do you think?
I completely agree. You know, here's the thing. I think for me as a man, here's the differences. As a man, one of the great benefits of women, y'all have something called intuition. And you know, we can walk somewhere in the room, or you can sense some things that I can't sense. You can like, you know, I don't know, something right about them. I'm not feeling something, and I need to take that in consideration. Sydney knows this. She's like, you know, Sydney would say something like, I don't know, something ain't right in my spirit, and I'm like, all right, Sydney, you know what you feeling? You're like, I think you know, something you need to hold off. You need to check that a little bit more, whatever it is. Or I don't know about that business partner. I don't know about that deal. You know, that's what I'm saying. So you know, it's still a collaboration, but you know.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It does.
So bring it back to the last question.
Don't forget about Elese. I hear what she got to say.
Right, I'm giving it to the ladies now. What is one thing that you wish men understood about women? They've answered it for me.
My goodness, that long eye roller.
That's alright.
Why don't you switch her neck like
Yeah,
that?
that getting hurt.
Had something to say.
We need to get this chiropractor out.
That's a great question.
I'll go. I think for me, the one thing that I wish men understood is exactly what men said. Strength for me is not how big your muscles are, how it's can you be vulnerable? Like understand as a I wish men, for me, I'm not every woman, I'm just me. I wish men understood that I know that you're a person. You have feelings, you have emotions. This is a safe space. So I wish more men understood that there are women who understand that men are people too.
But does it get to a point where it's too much?
It can.
There's always too much.
It gets to a point where it's too much.
Okay.
If the man is vulnerable too much, then
What
you
is too
lose
much?
respect for him because he's
so
not in a
again-
position of leadership.
I think he's
What-
right.
So
I think he's right,
So I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
I understand where you're.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
He's
What is
talking in the sense where we're at a point where it's not necessarily vulnerable, because vulnerable is
Right.
open while
Yeah.
still
Right.
being secure. You're touching on, like, if I'm just being, we'll call it sloppy drunk.
Yeah.
Like every time there's an issue or problem,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
crying
yeah,
over
yeah.
it. I'm not
Right.
Yes.
I'm not bringing solutions to the issue.
Absolutely.
I'm bringing you the issue.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the understanding of like,
There's,
Yeah,
I think that's even with women too, though, not just with men.
Oh, facts.
Like there's a level of
Is that a guy
vulnerability, and then there's a level, I think, of lack of accountability, or it's just like, let me just bring you all the woes. Okay, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But we can deal with the woes, but
Yeah.
where let's work on some solutions
Right.
here. How
Yeah.
we picking? So I think that's men and women.
Okay. But I see you sound like if I'm coming, you come like constantly whining about.
No, we're not doing that.
See, you-
Stop.
Cut it already fast.
I don't want a whiny man.
Right.
I want a man who understands vulnerability as a strength,
Right.
but it's still like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. This is where I am. This is how I'm feeling. This is where I'm at. But boom, boom, boom. This is what I'm about to execute. Or hey, what's your advice? I think that strength goes both ways. There's a strength in vulnerability, and then a strength in being able to pick up the pieces and move with them, even if those pieces don't fit together. But figuring out how to make it work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not saying come to me with all your woes with no solutions. No, baby, that's not gonna work.
So there's a balance.
There is a balance. There's a balance.
I'm not letting you off the hook.
I know. All three of the guys went.
I was waiting
For this last question, all three of the guys went. So, or four of them went actually. So.
Okay, so I apologize first of all for the eye roll.
No, it was. I was just messing with you.
So much. It was such a big question, and I'm a little bit on the Kyle vibe in that, like, I don't know what to say as like, on behalf of the women to the men.
This is not Elese.
I just feel
like
like we're all just people. Like I don't really think of men as completely different creatures.
Hold on, can I say something?
Like
So
we just.
at least is a little bit on something cool and different.
Okay.
So that's a compliment.
Okay.
So a couple weeks ago, I was here. We were getting prepped for this, and I told her about a question that I think we didn't ask. I was like, "Hey, on the first date, would you be willing to go Dutch?"
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Sydney this question, and what'd you say, Sydney? Absolutely not.
hell no.
That's what you said.
No,
And
I was thinking the same song.
And I asked Alicia's question. She's like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Oh, for real? So snap?" And I was
I'm
like,
definitely gonna offer, but then part of it is like, we're talking about the men. It's like, what did you say? Dating is almost like some kind of prostitution thing. Like that's why, like, I don't even prefer for a guy to buy me a drink when I'm out. Like unless we're friends. Like if it's like this is like a dating thing. Like I don't want anyone to think that I owe them something
depends on the guy.
in any way. And I always offer to.
So let me ask you a question.
To pay for half, and in relationships, like
I know we're getting off tangent, but let me ask you a question.
Wait. Before the
see.
question, let's close out and have Tamika answer the initial question.
There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. The initial question is what we can do that.
Yes.
The initial question is
I just worry.
what do you wish men knew about women? And forget women. What do you wish if it's just you? You don't. We can't speak for all women. What do you wish men knew?
So, I'm very. This is just the first thing that comes to mind. I'm sure I'll think of something else later, but although I am very independent. I don't always. Sometimes I welcome someone to come in and just kind of like
take the lead.
Kind of like
take the lead. That's honestly. That's the best thing I can come up with right now. I'm sure it's something else.
Do you think that taking a lead, like to me, kind of going back to what Elise was saying, I think that if somebody's interested in you, they're going to take the lead in some things. Like they're going to, hey, I want to take you out. Hey, can I take you out? Here's what you need to do. Because what I know is, from what I think about women, is that the more I free up in your mind, because women's mind in general are wired different than men, kind of like spaghetti in a good way, like everything's connected and men is more compartmental. So if I free up more thinking in your mind and I take care of everything, now you have more time to think about me on the date.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And then I'm that's what I'm thinking.
And another thing, this is a thing that I do. I won't ask for anything. So if you feel like you want to give me something or do something for me, just do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna ask, and I don't like. I don't know why, but I don't like when a man says, "Do you need anything?" I don't know. I just don't like that for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm just like you're, and maybe I'm thinking about a specific situation. Like you're around me, you're in my presence. I mean, I don't.
Well, most women are not going to be. They're not going to be as obvious. Like men are going to ask you out. If women are interested in guys, you'll give what they call choosing signals. You may look at them, turn away. You may let them know that you're interested. You may flirt. Laugh, things like that. But it's kind of like what Elise was saying earlier. Like she's saying, want an old guy, but is that with a guy that you're not interested in, but if a guy that you're interested in says, "Hey Elise, I like to spend some time with you one-on-one. Can I take you out on a date that I'm paying for?"
Yeah.
I know you cool. You want to pay half and half, but is it okay?
Oh, if they insist, then I will let them do it. But I'm just saying, I will always offer.
Yeah.
And if I don't know you at all, then I'm gonna really make sure.
Yeah.
Because then I don't know what kind of character you have, and so I just Then I would really want to make sure.
I won't offer, but if we're progressing and I may do something like, let me take you out.
Yeah.
You taking me out. Let me take you out.
But if you've asked to take me out, I'm not.
Yeah, that's dope. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, you're definitely getting a D.
Hey, yo.
I've done that though. I've done that.
What we got to wait for you? I'll take you 2 weeks.
I've done that.
I'm
not giving up nothing, but I'll say, hey, I'm gonna take you to ice cream. Get up and I'm paying.
Hey, that's
I
dope.
pay. They're like, no, I invited you.
I'm like,
oh, for real? That's a turn.
Hey, that's it.
Yeah.
I went out with a woman once. I'm just gonna call her Macy's. I went out with a woman once, and she kept bragging about kind of how much money she made. And I was like, you bragging about how much money she made? You for the buy nothing. I don't want to pay no bill, but. So I don't know. I agree. That's dope.
Yeah.
I mean, just to show, like, you know what, I'm in this too.
I appreciate it. I think it's a two-way. It's a partnership.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I don't expect you to pay for everything, but if you ask me on a date specifically,
oh, I agree.
I am not going Dutch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I think
you asked me out.
If the person that asks, that's the person.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now we're just friends. That's different.
Yeah.
But you asked me.
Yeah.
On a date.
I know I've had some female friends that tried to turn the table on me like that before, where I thought we was friends, went out to brunch, and they all of a sudden got alligator arms when the bill came. And I was like, hey, bro, split this. I was like, we're just friends, right?
A long time.
I know that's right.
I was like,
they'll friend zone you till the check come.
I don't play that. I'm like, split the check.
Yeah.
We friends.
They'll friend zone you till the
I told this one chick one time. This is a while ago. I was like, she called me up. Hey, what you doing tonight? I was like, nothing. She's like, you eat? I was like, no. She want to go out? Get something. Like, cool. We went to Maggiano's. We had a good time. She had wine. I had wine. Oh. I remember she had lots of rabbit. Oh, how's that lots of rabbit? Let me try that. We had a good time. Some dessert. Bill came. She looked around. I was like, I said, so you just gonna act like you don't see the bill? Oh my God. She said, oh, well, none of my guy friends don't usually let me pay. I said, we going home tonight? She said, what do you mean? I said, we smashed it? I was just being honest. And she said,
those aren't your guy friends, those are simps.
But and you know what she said? She said, no. I said, then why you think I'm gonna pay for the bill? I said, well, we just friends then. We obviously just friends. We not dating. I said that to make a point. And then she said, okay, cool. I said, yeah, I'm just saying. So split the check.
It's not absolute.
It's not absolute. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've done it before where it's cool. Like,
but you can't pull on somebody else's pocket.
Yeah,
that's just disrespectful.
I ain't like that. So I was
you
like,
don't do that.
split this bill.
Yeah, that's right. That's just no. That's no integrity.
She told me she shouldn't have paid.
Yeah, exactly.
I could have paid. No big deal. But I'm just like, no.
It's the principle.
The principle.
Yeah. You were hungry. You didn't want to pay. You thought I was gonna be your free meal ticket. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
All right. Playing with my money. It's like playing with my
emotions. Okay.
But
come on, Smokey.
Chicks that do that.
You
got chicks that I'm gonna get with this dude for free meal.
I didn't know chicks did that for.
I have a lot of female friends.
Chicks, I didn't know.
They do that.
I learned that.
Tacky.
I learned that a long time ago. This chick in Memphis I was dating, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I went on this dude on Tuesday, Wednesday." I was like, "You did that?" I was like, "Chicks." I said, I started thinking. I was like, "Oh, I paid this free meal." I was like. I was really simping. I didn't even know it. I was like, so you been going out with dudes that didn't, that they thought they had a chance with you, and you just, I was like,
free meal.
I was like, you wrong.
Simping ain't easy.
This has been the Richmond edition of Dinner Party Conversations, single edition. I have been your favorite host, Sydney Elese, along with my guy, Kartez. And until next time, see you later.
If you'd like to be part of the next dinner party, go to dinnerpartyconversations.com and sign up.